Lots of big character reveals in this week's manga chapter of One Piece, chapter 948. Kawamatsu takes the stage. We finally find out Kawamatsu's on-panel appearance. We find out the true identity of O-Kiku and Capone. Let's get into this. Yo, Hegassen here, and let's get straight into this chapter and talk about the fact that we finally get a cover page story. I really wanted the Katakuri one, but one of my other hot picks was a story about Capone, and that is what we get right here. And we don't get much revelation in this one. All we see is actually Capone and the rest of his crew, the Fire Tank Pirates, in Big Mom's tart ship. And that's all we get so far, just to set up the fact that we are getting a cover story about Big Mom. But I'm going to throw out a few little predictions here that I think is going to happen in this cover. I think that we're going to get Capone turning that tart ship into like a more of a castle, like look like a kind of a castle fort. It's got that kind of same similar structure. I could easily see him just taking that ship and turning it into a castle fort, and I think that will look really good and a really good replacement for his old ship that was lost. And something else I'd like to speculate on is I think maybe in this cover story we normally get them like interacting with other people or finding something. I think it could be a good way of finding out something that happened with one of the other characters that we didn't get an outcome to in Whole Cake Island. What character? Not really sure. It could be Jinbe. We could get Jinbe swimming back, you know, maybe on his way to Wano. Capone picks him up and takes him to Wano. That would be a good way of getting Capone in Wano. Or it could be something like you see Caesar flying over and we find out what happened to Caesar. Maybe Caesar ends up joining the Fire Tank Pirates. Or even the Germa, someone like Reiju turning up. That would be a good way to find out at least one of those loose ends that happened in Whole Cake Island. But we're not here to talk about what's happening or what was happening in Whole Cake Island. We're here to be talking about Wano. So let's get into Wano. But before we get into Wano, why don't we stop off at the island of likes and subscribes. And while you're there, hit up me with a like and subscribe. That would mean so much. So we start off this chapter where we left off last week, and we are once again an entire chapter in Udon Prison. So yeah, again, still happy that we're actually carrying over with the Udon Prison storyline. I am really wondering what's happening in the Flower Capital. I don't want to go back to the Flower Capital and all of the fights are finished. Hopefully when we do go back to the Flower Capital, there'll be like a at the same time kind of thing, or a few moments later, so we actually get to see what plays out there in its entirety. But I'm not going to complain about what we got in this chapter, because we get some good stuff. There is a lot of talking in this chapter though, and it does feel like a really long chapter overall, and that's mainly because of this beginning bit. At the beginning we get a lot of talking with Luffy. He's practicing how to do his advanced Haki flow, his advanced armament Haki, and we see again that he's got like that kind of aura, you know, that kind of Goku style ki around his hand, and I'm guessing now this is the way that we're going to represent this new Haki over the existing Haki that we know. And once again Luffy is being unsuccessful. He's trying to punch people with it, and every time he goes to punch the aura disappears. So he can build up the aura, but then when he goes to use it in a punch, it disappears. So he's still got a little bit more training to do. The only person of any challenge that is there is Babanuki, but as we know with the rest of the gifters, they're pretty much fodder. And what's surprising here is we actually see Babanuki, old maid, use his head. Maybe that's the elephant, you know, elephants are very smart after all, but he actually uses his head. He's like, right, how am I going to get Luffy, this clearly very, very strong character that was going up against Big Mom, how are we going to get him back in his cell? Well, let's try a different approach, and his approach is that he convinces the other prisoners to capture him. Obviously Luffy doesn't want to hurt the other prisoners, you know, he has nothing against them, and the other prisoners are only doing this out of fear of the fact that, you know, Wano is controlled by Kaido and Orochi, and they have nothing left. They've had all of their hopes shattered, and as they're grabbing Luffy and pinning him down, they're talking about the fact that they've had all of their freedoms taken away. And as we know, as Luffy said last chapter, he's always been free. He's a man all about freedom, so he doesn't like seeing other people have their freedoms taken away. So obviously this is going to spur Luffy on. But the problem here is, and probably this is something that Babanuki knew about, is the fact that how is Luffy going to roll up these people when he's an outsider? Nobody in Wano knows who Luffy is. Luffy doesn't know who any of these people are. So, you know, he hasn't really got that connection. It's not like in Impel Down where people knew about Straw Hat Luffy and stuff, and that, you know, he had people in there that he knew from the past. Obviously he's got Kid and Killer and stuff, but they can't rile up the rest of the prison based on the fact that they are outsiders. This is where Old Man Hyo comes in. Old Man Hyo was a big deal in the past, and he's going to have a lot of influence, and he comes in with some words of wisdom, not at Luffy, but at Luffy's allies. And once again, we are going to see here that Luffy is going to play to his strengths of the fact that he can form strong groups of allies out of people that he rarely knows, and this is what he needs here. He needs that core group of allies around him to then help other people come to his calls. And thankfully Luffy has already managed to get Old Man Hyo in his calls, and Old Man Hyo comes in, he talks to Raizo and O-Kiku, and he's like, look, you two, you're wearing those handkerchief disguises. Don't know how them handkerchief disguises even work, but they still got the little handkerchief disguises on, and nobody apparently can recognise Raizo's giant head underneath that handkerchief. So he's like, look, if you want to rile up these people, you need to stop hiding your face. You need to let them know who you are. And Raizo's like, yeah, I guess you're right. You know, to them, we are ghosts. So Raizo takes off his handkerchief, O-Kiku takes off her handkerchief, and then puts on a mask. And this is where we get a big revelation that I'll talk about in a second. And when she puts her mask on, she gets referred to as Kikunojo, who is a man. Big revelation, we find out that the theory is correct. O-Kiku all along was actually a man. She was like Izzo, she was cross-dressing. But, you know, she identifies as a woman. As Chopper says to her, like, you're a man? She's like, but I'm a woman at heart. So we actually have here, O-Kiku was a man all along. That puts a little bit of a different spin on the fact that Zoro clearly knew, you know, the man with only one eye, he can clearly see. And also puts a little different bit of a spin on that sumo guy. Do you remember that sumo guy? Urashima. He wanted to marry O-Kiku. I'm guessing that he didn't know, so if he finds out who O-Kiku really is, it'll be interesting to see his reaction. Overall, I'm not really sure how I feel about this revelation. I was actually quite looking forward to the fact about O-Kiku being a really strong female character. You know, all throughout the arc we had characters being like, wow, she's tall, wow, she's strong. Turns out, wow, she's tall, wow, she's strong. Is that just because she was a man all along? I was really hoping for that escape from the trope of One Piece female characters always kind of looking like Nami, always being portrayed as typically weaker than the men. I was actually hoping here that we would have that strong, not big mum female character, but we don't really get that here. But regardless, she or he, it's actually going to be interesting to see how they refer to her now going forward, because obviously she identifies the fact that she is a woman. Is it going to be when she has the mask on, when she's Kikunojo, she's going to be referred to as a man? When she takes it off, she's going to be referred to as a woman. Be interesting to see how they do that, but yeah, she looks badass anyway when she's got that mask on. I think I could just keep referring to her as a woman for the time being, because that's clearly what she says she identifies as. And it's good that we got a nice progressive character here in One Piece as well. O-Kiku isn't the only big reveal that we get in this chapter. There is one more character that Luffy gets in his new ally circle with Raizo, O-Kiku, Kikunojo, and Old Man Hyo, Hyogoro the Flower, and that person is Kawamatsu. And Kawamatsu, he finally gets out of the cell. Raizo throws in his keys with his sword, the Soto Moso, which I'm pretty sure we're going to find out later on is going to be one of the higher grade swords, because they made a big deal of the fact that it's a sword. Also, I should point out as well that Old Man Hyo just randomly turns up as well with a katana in this one. Where did he get that one from? Is that one Luffy's sword? Not really sure, but he just turns up and he's just holding a sword. I don't remember him having a sword in the previous chapters. But yeah, anyway, we see Kawamatsu here. He finally gets out of his cell, and he gets out of his cell by doing a move that all of these fodder characters running in, and he pushes them back with his sword using the Kappa Sword Style. And we find out that this sword style, it acts like a raging river. So if you're not strong enough to swim up the raging river, you're going to get pushed back. And this is what this move is. It's like an air slash kind of move. Don't know how strong this is going to be against more powerful characters, or if it's only against fodder characters, but regardless, it looks like Kawamatsu is still going to be a very strong ally, especially the fact that he's been in that cell for 13 years. The second he gets his sword back, he's acting as if he's never been parted with it. So definitely going to be a strong ally, and a great looking ally as well, because we finally get to see what it looks like here, and he is Kawamatsu the Kappa. He is a great big frog guy. He's got the little frog beak, he's got web hand. At first I was a little bit confused. I was like, is he a fisherman? And it's still not really clear. We just get him as Kawamatsu the Kappa, but his design is really awesome. He looks a little bit like a kind of a Dragon Ball alien. He looks like he kind of doesn't fit in One Piece, but at the same time he does, because it's just completely crazy. But I could easily take him out of One Piece, pop him into Dragon Ball Super, and you wouldn't even notice. And of course we got to talk about the fact that he's got the big hat, and it looks like he's got great big hair. And if we go by the trend of Oda recently, it's probably going to be big long blonde hair. And straight away you got to go, Is this the guy that Crocus was talking to on that cover page story ages ago? Well, that person had a human hand. Not really sure. We don't know anything about why Kawamatsu the Kappa looks like that. What is he? Is he a fisherman? Is he a Kappa? Was he once upon a time a human who ate a devil fruit? But we've seen him swimming in the water. So, you know, if he was a human, then he could have had that human hand, and then he ate the devil fruit, or something happened, something else, not devil fruit related, turned him into a Kappa. We don't know yet. Is he like a fisherman, mink hybrid or something? Who knows? It would be nice to get that reveal, but we don't get that here. We just get his name, Kawamatsu the Kappa, and we also find out that he is also a sumo wrestler. He is a Yokozuna, so he's known as Kawamatsu the Kappa, Kawamatsu the Yokozuna. And then the chapter ends with Luffy, like that, looking really buff actually. Luffy's looking really buff, and he's surrounded by his new allies, that are going to help him win over the uprising. And of course we haven't mentioned the fact that Hyogoro himself is going to be extremely important at building up more allies in this prison, because of the fact that he is the Yakuza boss, and that we know that there's at least 4 other Yakuza bosses. That guy that we saw last week in the silhouette, a lot of people are now speculating the fact that he is actually a Yakuza boss and not Denjiro, so we still need to find yet Denjiro. It would be nice if the Yakuza boss and Denjiro were both this character, because then that's one less character that we'll have to remember. But yeah, we got Luffy there, we got Old Man Hyo, we've got Raizo, we've got O-Kiku, Kikunojo, and we've got Kawamatsu. And then in the back, you can see the very back of Chopper's head in heavy point. And I feel really bad for Chopper, because everybody's getting their introductions. Everyone's talking to Luffy and like, who is this Luffy Toro? Hence why he can't build up everybody for this rebellion, because like I said, nobody knows who he is. But the fact that he is now standing with members of the 9 Red Scabbards, with Hyogoro, is, you know, putting him in a much better light, that where people can like rally behind him and stuff. We don't see Kid or Killer in this chapter, or Caribou either, so no idea where they're going to fit into this. How badass would it look when all 3 of them are there? And how badass will it look when Luffy's got the full 9 Red Scabbards all around him? That'll be a really cool looking panel, because this panel looks really good. But yeah, poor Chopper, he's standing there in the background. He doesn't even get an introduction. They go around introducing all these people, and Chopper's like, hey, what about me? And there's a weird thing as well with Chopper in this chapter. We see him in Heavy Point, and then in the next scene he's in Brain Point, and then he's back in Heavy Point again. So what happened there? Why did he randomly go into Brain Point for no reason? Or was it just a mistake? I'm guessing it was just a mistake. I feel really bad for Chopper here. Chopper deserves more than this. He's being treated as like a pet again. I really want to see a badass moment for Chopper in a really good fight, especially the fact that we got Big Mom kind of taken away from him, and I was expecting Chopper to be like, to hang around with Big Mom and maybe help cure her and stuff like that, or have a lot of have a lot of interactions with Big Mom. But my mind just went in a really weird place when I said that. So yeah, I really want to see Chopper actually do a little bit more and be a little bit more in the forefront here, not just the back of his head in the background. Overall, how would I rate this chapter? It was a very good chapter. I do feel like it was a little bit slow at the beginning, a little bit too much talking. So I think overall I'm going to give this chapter 948 a purple tier. Great to see Kawamatsu, he looks really cool. Great to get that O-Kiku, Kikunojo reveal. Interesting to see how that's going to play out. And that final image with Luffy surrounded by his new allies looks really cool, even though we only get the back of Chopper's head. Oh, and also one more thing I just want to point out. There's a great little shot of Babanuki earlier on. He's talking and his elephant is eating a banana. It didn't have to be in there, but I love those little things that Oda puts in there. It's always great going through these pages and looking at everything, all the little details. So I just love that. It's a great little bit of extra character to the elephant that's on his chest. Hey, so thanks for watching. What did you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my video, maybe give it a like. And if you really liked it, why not subscribe? You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Twitch. Oh, and here's a related video you might enjoy, and something more fresh. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!